This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, once again, good morning. So yesterday we have started software development lifecycle and we discussed about a few documentation. What is BRD, BRS, what is RTM, what is SRS, what is FRS, what are the designs, mark screens and high level, low level designs. And coming to the development perspective, what is TSD, technical specification document, all these things we discussed. Any questions from this previous class before I move on to the testing phase? No? Okay. Just a minute. So as a tester, your testing team, when development is happening, your testing team will be analyzing all the requirements allocated for that specific cycle or specific period of time. And what they do before they, as you will be tend to tell, we will start writing test cases, and that is true. Yes, you will be doing that. But before that, what they do, say, how you have done here by analyzing the overall requirements, team has came up with the project plan, right? Management has come up with the project plan. In the same way, testing team will come up with what? Testing team analyze all the requirements allocated for the specific cycle. Cycle means, don't think our cycle, all of you. Cycle means some period of time they will maintain cycles. Means every 1 month you are developing, one cycle will get completed and new cycle will get started. Like one, like that, they may put some certain specific period of time, 2 weeks of time, or 3 weeks of time, or 4 weeks of time. They will consider as they take some certain requirements and complete the development and release to the customer. Again they start new cycle. So to, for the better tracking purpose and also to give better focus on the developing of requirements step by step, they will go this way. Okay, depending on the model. So whatever requirements are allocated for the specific cycle, they analyze and come up with detailed plan how the testing activities will be performed, how the testing activities will be performed for this specific, in this cycle. Okay, will be performed in the, in this, in the cycle. Okay, how you are going to carry out your testing activities for this specific period of time. You will be coming up with a very good plan. What is that document is called? Test plan document. Okay, test plan document you will prepare. And there will be another document, this plan document. What will be there, what content will be there, what kind of questions you will get on the test plan document in interview, all those things we'll discuss in a while. Along with this document, sometimes your depending on auditing team's request, or your, if your testing team manager or test lead is decided to have a dedicated document for what are the different types of testing, how we are going to uh, uh, what are the testings we are going to do, how the testing is going to be performed. That separately, the testing approach will be separately created as a dedicated document, because in the throughout life cycle of the project, whatever requirements you are testing, if testing team feels our types of testings will not change, we will be doing integration testing, regression testing, system testing. These things are not going to change. If at all interfaces are there, interface testing, these are all not going to change. This is what we are going to do in the entire project life cycle. Then why to create every time new thing in the test plan document? We will create it as a separate document, that is test strategy document, which will be which explains the test strategy, sorry, testing approach in validating, to validate the requirements, validate the application features. Okay, it's nothing but it is nothing but what are the different types of testings performed by the testing team, what are the different types of testings performed by the testing team will be mentioned in the document, in this document. Okay, so this is a separate document. It is a static document. Why is it static document? Strategy or approach may not change every cycle, right? Whatever types of testings you decided to do, you will be doing those things for regularly for all the cycles, in the all the cycles. You will not be changing your testing approach every cycle. What will be changing? Test plan need to be prepared. This is a document need to be prepared starting off every before starting off every new cycle. You need to create this. Okay, this document need to be prepared. Why this need to be prepared every time and this need not to be prepared? Because test plan document is going to cover who are the resources and what are the requirements need to be tested, what is our scope and what need not to be tested, and who are the resources allocated for what, and what are the different activities performed by each resource, and what are the timelines, what is the time schedules, when you will, by when we complete test case writing, by when we complete test execution, by when we complete regression testing, and by when we do the release. Everything will be mentioned for that specific cycle in this test plan document. Okay, so this should be prepared for every new cycle. You need to prepare this document as a tester. So as a tester means every tester should prepare separately? No, it's a single document. Entire team will group together and discuss together on the requirements, how much time, depending on the complexity of the requirements, how much time they may need and what is the plan they have, how differently they are going to implement their testing activities based on the allocated requirements. They come up with this test plan document. You need to answer this only. They may ask you, have you prepared test plan document? Then you should, it's mostly what happens in the projects, it will be prepared by test lead. You may or may not interact involve in this. Okay, in that case you should not tell, no, I don't know, I am not part of this test plan document preparation, it will be done by my lead. Like that you should not tell. It's the only answer you can give, and you should not tell yes, I only prepared. Okay, if you are confident about explaining all the concepts which I'm going to talk now, then you can say yes. Sometimes I only prepare with by gathering with the team, or it will be done by my lead by discussing with all the testing team members. They prepare. You can say we together prepare. The whole testing team will discuss after analyzing the requirements. We discuss, and based on that we decide on timelines and approaches, and come up with the detailed test plan. Clear? So in the testing phase, before you start your other activities that are analyzing the sorry or identifying the scenarios and writing test cases, before that you need to come up with this document first. Okay, so what will be there in this document? First thing, what are the requirements? This document contains test plan document contains details about what are the requirements need to be tested, what is in those requirements, also what is in scope, what is out of scope. Okay, what is in scope, what is out of scope. You need to mention that. Why? What is out of scope means, some requirement, though you are developing, client may to save some time and you don't have now, especially web services are there. If what client asked is you don't test web services, you don't waste your time, or you don't hire any resources for web services testing. I have experts from my end. You develop and give it to us. My team will test it. Like that, client has informed to us. In that case, as part of any of these requirements allocated for the specific cycle, if our development team is developing any web services, then that you will be mentioning in the test plan document. This is out of scope for us from testing the specific web services. You need to mention that. Understood? This point is clear, all of you? Moving on. Next, what else will be there, and what is the very
Sir,
important thing
sorry,
is there.
sorry to interrupt. Please repeat that outscope, sir. What is that meaning? I didn't get.
Out of scope is which you need not to test in the requirements. In the requirements, what are allocated for that specific cycle, which need not to be tested. For what reason? Some for based on the agreement with the client, few things are mentioned, like we need not to test some things. Database testing is out of scope, or web services testing is out of scope for us. It will be taken care by client. Like that, if there is an agreement between a vendor and client, then you will put those things which your testing team is not doing. Those things will be mentioned in the out of scope. Did you get it, Lakshman?
Yes, sir. Clear. Thank you.
Entry criteria and exit criteria. Next one, entry and exit criteria. I request you people to respond quickly, to be open. I'll get so much irritated if you people are not responding when I have is it clear or not. Okay, then I will quickly move on to the next thing. If it is not clear, raise your voice and ask immediately, or if it is clear, at least respond it's clear. Okay, I'll move on to the next topic immediately if you people don't respond. I hope it is clear to everyone. Entry criteria, exit criteria. Okay. Entry criteria, exit criteria. Anyone try to guess what is entry criteria for testing team? What is exit criteria for the testing team? Any guesses?
So entry
So
criteria
entry,
will be like,
yeah, go on, Manish.
so whatever the documents which are giving that we need to test particularly, right? If I'm not wrong.
Okay, I think Kalyan also said the same thing. I don't know how both of you on the same lines, but yeah, it's not correct, Manish. Even Kalyan, it's not correct.
Entry character, I guess user stories.
The way how to test it, document,
Can you repeat, Jaya?
the way how to test the documents all in a proper manner, like
You,
that.
so Jaya is telling how
End-to-end.
to test the documents. Okay, why do you test the documents? It's like you'll do baseline testing just to make sure the documents required documents are prepared properly or not. That is different, but you're not going to test them, right? So entry criteria is something to start your testing activities as a tester. What are the prerequisites that need to be satisfied first? What should be there already? Then only you can start your testing activities. Okay, what is that entry criteria? Can anyone give any example? What is the prerequisite? Now, if at all you want to start analyzing and writing the test cases, requirements must be approved and finalized. Otherwise, I don't work on it. Why? If it is not even approved, if at all you are keep on changing, I need to change my test cases as well every time. So requirement must be approved and finalized. And the test management tool must be configured to run my test cases. Okay, proper test environment must be set up to validate the application features. These kind of aspects will be mentioned in entry criteria that need to be satisfied. Those are certain parameters, those need to be satisfied to start the testing activities by the testing team. Okay, entry criteria, the set of parameters or conditions that need to be satisfied to start with the testing activities. Those are mentioned as entry criteria. Okay, with this, can someone tell what is exit criteria? What is exit criteria?
Set of parameters or condition need to be satisfied before closing the test activity or test case.
Before closing the test case. Test case, which one you are telling?
No, no, not test cases. Activity.
No, yeah, who is that? That completing all the test cases. Who said that? Chandra. Okay, so completing all the test cases is one of the exit criteria. Correct. But what is this? I can say to fill this statement, the set of parameters or conditions that need to be satisfied to close my testing, to end my testing, and the testing activities for that specific cycle. Okay. So before releasing to the UAT, you need to end your testing, right? So when you will end, I will start, I'm done with my testing for this cycle. When you can say examples, what you will be having all the identified test cases must be executed, and 99% at this percent, wherever I put numbers, it can be changing from project to project or client, company to company. Okay, 99% of test cases must be what? 99% of test cases must be sound loudly, must be passed. Okay, so 99 test cases must be passed. There should not be this, even this 1% failed test cases also, there should not be any critical or major open defects. So while I am trying to close my testing, there should not be any critical and major defects which are not addressed yet by the developers. If at all at least one defect is there which is very critical or major, then I don't accept it. I cannot release it. Okay, then so there can be few maximum what, so there can be few, what is that few, can be the count, there can be around 10 medium or low defects, low open defects, which is not that doesn't impact, that don't impact the business. So while stopping your testing, there can be open defects, but those things should not be critical or major. Okay, if it is critical or major, very important issues, then you cannot release. But if at all there are issues which are not that much frequently used, and it is not going to impact the business that much, or it's not going to show that much impact on the application behavior as well, then you can have them as open defects and send that as part of release notes. We are releasing, but there are these open defects. If at all you find, don't report it, my team is fixing it. Like that, you will send it as part of release notes. So you cannot have this count, also is depending on the project to project, it will be varying. So you can have some medium or low defects, open defects, but you cannot release with the critical or major defects. Such kind of examples, conditions will be put as part of exit criteria. Any questions from this? Okay, moving on. Next is risks. What will be there in the document? Risks and mitigation plan. Okay, risk and mitigation plan. What is mitigation? If at all there are some risks identified in these requirements, we will be maybe facing risks in testing specific complex requirements, because there are complex calculation or business rules involved. So it will be a uh, risky area in this for this specific cycle to test. And then generic risks, unplanned leave by planned leave by so and so resource. Only two testers out of three testers, out of four testers, two testers are not available. Only two testers will be available for this cycle. That's a generic risk. So then what is the mitigation plan for this identified risk? How are you going to reduce the impact of this risk? That is also you're going to mention in this mitigation plan. Okay, so such things will be mentioned in the risk and mitigation plan. What else? They will be mentioning what is a small, even though it is prepared as separate document, sometimes if there is no separate document, there will be test strategy will be mentioned as a separate document here. Okay, separate section here in this document itself, test plan document itself. You will be having test strategy also as a separate section. Okay, let me write document. Okay, it's there. So, okay, test strategy as a separate section you will be mentioning. And what else? Resources, and responsibilities. What are the resources are allocated for which requirements and which tasks, that and all you will be mentioning in this document. Okay, so which is against agile model. Okay, when you are following agile model, you don't allocate pre-assign all the tasks to testers. Okay, so then in that case responsibilities place, you will be just simply generically you will not assign any resources and all. You will just tell responsibilities will be writing test cases and doing regression testing, whatever responsibilities are there, all those things will be mentioned. Test case writing, all those things. But you don't assign in agile model. Anyhow, you will learn very detailed when you come to the models, but agile model is very strict. You should not pre-assign the task to anyone. Okay, and what else? Timelines, schedule. What is schedules or timelines? What is this mean? Sorry for the noise, my daughter is shouting. Schedules or timelines, what you are going to mention here, by when you complete what? Test case writing will be completed by then, this time. And again, test execution will be completed by this time. Regression testing will be completed by this time, and we release by this time. We give the sign off for the testing by this time. Like that, you will be mentioning all the timelines here. Okay, and you also mention you need to know one more thing when I'm explaining these documents. So this is the content you will be having in the test plan document. Some people may have some additional information as well, but these are the important things which you'll be having in the test plan document. So test plan document or test strategy document or test cases, all these things are what is the word we can use for them, for all these things from testing point of view? Those are the things which need to be accomplished by the testing team, correct? So what is the word we can use for that? Those are all called test deliverables. Okay, test deliverables that need to be completed and shared to the client will be identified. That also you'll be identifying them. What are all the things client is asking for? He's asking test plan document, test strategy document, and whatever test cases we have prepared for the requirements, and how we have executed execution report, and how we have pass and fail percentage, all those things, and how many defects we identified, the defects summary. All these things are deliverables that we need to give to the client. Understand? So those all are the work that need to be accomplished and delivered to the client is nothing but test deliverable from the testing team. Okay, remember what is test deliverable? What are the test deliverables? If they ask, you need to tell these things. Any questions still here?
No, sir.
Okay,
Sir,
moving on. Yes, Ramya.
hello sir. Sir, can you please tell me the risk and mitigation plan?
Risks are what are in this specific cycle to test this allocated requirements. Do you find any risk, very risky area in this application, in the application to test? There is one complex logic being implemented. There is a very tough requirement is there, where lot of calculation and multiple permutations and combinations are there in that requirement. If at all you want to test that one, it takes some time, and it is you need to it's a very risky, right? You need to put a lot of focus on that, and that such kind of risky things you will be identifying out of those requirements allocated for those for the specific cycle. And then what is your plan? Okay, you identified the risks, fine. What is your plan to reduce the avoid the impact of that risk? How are you going to plan? Not only the application requirements related risk, in general there is any risk. Okay, so uh, any risk resources are not available, means if the testers are went on unplanned leave all of a sudden, how will you address them? Or you are well in advance, you know that two testers will not be there for this entire cycle for longer duration. What will you do? How will you plan the testing? With the two testers, how are you going to plan? All those things will be mentioning here. Clear, Ramya?
Yes sir, yes sir.
Yes. Yes, Chandra.
Uh, can you provide any mitigation plan example as such means for this
Can you
scenario
please,
only?
1 second, Saurabh, can you wait? Chandra, please go on. Uh, yes, yes, that is also will be what are, if at all you are doing automation testing as well, then you need to mention that as well. Okay, technical tools are it can be technologies used. Okay, tools and technologies you can mention about it. But if at all you are doing manual testing, and if it is not going to uh, change, it is the same TFS tool or HPALM tool which you are going to use to write test cases, execute test cases, then no need to mention anything. Okay, go on, Saurabh.
I'm just curious to know how to means handle this resource risk, like you said, if two resources are not available for the particular
Yeah, you
time.
need to, you will take additional time we are going to, since resources are not available, we may not be able to complete the testing as per the plan, or we are planning to work on one additional day in the weekend. Like that, you will be mentioning all those things.
Okay. Okay, so we have to means take care of this during the sprint planning or something like that, right?
Yes,
Okay, thank
you're
you.
not audible clearly, Saurabh. Please be louder.
Uh, am I audible to you right now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay, it is clear. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sir, in the test related document,
Your voice is breaking, Ramya.
sir, in test, what you said in test deliverable document, we have to mention all these test plan documents and everything, right, sir?
Oh, it's not a document. It's a question. Okay, it's a topic. It's not a document. Test deliverables is a question. What and all you are going to deliver? What documents you prepare? What reports you prepare? What test cases you prepare? Uh, what is the execution summary? All those things are deliverables from testing team. That I mentioned. It's not a document.
Okay, okay, sir.
It's an interview question.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Hmm, 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 hmm. But that anyhow you will be giving as part of release notes, right? Build which version of the application you are deploying, that will be there in the release notes. Release notes actually, if at all testing team is providing, so some projects what they do, if there is no dedicated build and deployment team, release notes will be given by testing team, then that is also test deliverable from us. Otherwise it will be done by release team, where business analyst or someone will prepare and send by release team, deployment team. Okay, I will mention here test plan, test strategy, test cases. So test scenarios which you identify, right? That is not a deliverable. Okay, test scenarios, why you are identifying? For your sake, before writing the test cases, what and all scenarios I need to cover, that you are identifying, and then writing the test cases for those identified scenarios. Okay, that's not a test scenario, is internal work. Test cases only you will be delivering. And then test execution summary, defect summary, and you can write release notes as well. Sorry, one more document is there, QA sign off, which I will talk at the end of testing phase. Sign off document. What is this sign off? It's a kind of release similar to the release notes only. Sign off document. What is the sign off document? At the end of your testing, once you are done with all the testing of all the requirements and all the bugs are fixed, everything is done, you will give sign off to the testing. Means when you are ending the testing, stopping the testing for the specific cycle, you will prepare this sign off document mentioning what are the requirements you tested, how many test cases are prepared, how many times you executed them, how many defects you have identified, and what are the status of the requirements currently and the defect status as well. And then which version of the what is the final version you certified, which is the version of the latest version of the application which you are concluding, that you will be mentioning in the sign off document and send the to the build and deployment team if at all there. Otherwise, you will directly send to the client. Your test lead or test manager will send that. Any question on this sign off document? Release notes, it's a very generic thing everyone knows. I hope we will be using mobile phones, and whenever a new update available for any mobile app, if you go to Play Store and if you tap on what is the why this new update is new update contains, like that, there will be some points, bullet points will be mentioned. Have you ever noticed that? That is nothing but release notes. Okay, in the similar way, here also, whenever we are delivering new version, new deployment we are doing to the customer UAT environment, we need to give release notes to them clearly to state that what are the requirements, new features we are fully releasing in this version, what are the requirements partially getting released, and what are the defects which are open, means which we only identified but still not fixed. All those details you will mention and send to the client in the release notes. What is the release version number? That version also. Software versioning, I mentioned in the beginning also, again I'm telling, for every release there will be a unique number given or unique code given to identify, to track which features are released in which version. Okay, it's kind of V 6.2, 6.3, 6.4. When you are doing sub releases, if when you do major release, it will become 7.0, 7.0. Okay, like that, releases will be release version will be maintained. Any questions on these deliverables?
The sign off document.
Oh, Ramya, sign off document is testing team, when they are ending the testing, they have to provide kind of sign off, and we are ending our testing. We tested these number of requirements with these number of this set of test cases, and we have executed this, whatever execution summary is there, no, that snapshots we will put in this sign off document, and we have identified these many defects, and all the defect status and requirement status you will mention, and then send it to the, and which version of the QA build you are finally giving the sign off, you will mention that and send it to the client. Okay, Ramya,
Oh,
is
okay,
that
sir.
clear?
Okay, sir. Sir,
I think
finally
you
that
have,
means of getting approval from the client. Final getting approval, sir.
this there is no approval for these things. Okay, this is just
Oh,
it's kind of intimation to him.
intimation.
Okay,
Okay, okay, sir.
then if at all after intimating like this, if he finds something issue in the application, he will report it as a defect or issue to us. Then our testing team need to figure it out, why is it not working for the client. We need to report defect and categorize it as UAT defect. It is leaked from
Okay,
us. Okay, so
okay,
like
sir.
that, that further process as usual I have explained, right? That will go like that. This is not required to get any approval. Any other questions? Okay, so as usual, testing team based on the analysis made on the requirements, testers prepares what? Testing team identify test scenarios, different test scenarios to be tested, and write detailed test cases for the identified scenarios. Get the test cases. What test cases? Reviewed and approved by business analyst. Okay, what is this called? This whole process is called the process of identifying the test scenarios and writing detailed test cases and getting them reviewed and approved is called test designing. These all together called as test designing. Okay, understand? So what is this one called? Your based on the analysis, this will call, they will come up with the detailed test plan document. I said right. This is called test planning. Okay, clear? Remember these things which I will be asking in the next concept, which I'm going to explain. Okay, test designing. Is there any question on this test designing? I was repeating this n number of times from the day one. Any question on this? Moving on. Next, what they do once developer completes the development of any requirement, the latest code must be pushed to testing environment to start with the validation process. Okay, to start with, before you start testing, validating that requirement, that latest code, whatever new requirement is developed, that latest code must be pushed to testing environment. What is this called? This is called test environment setup. Okay, remember this as well. Understand? We have discussed this also a number of times. Next, what you will do? So testing team execute all the identified test cases for a requirement, for each requirement, and pass or fail them depending on whether the application is satisfying the defined expectations or not. Understand? So when you fail the test case, when a test case is failed due to some misfunctionality or issue in the application, tester must report it as a defect and link it to the failed test case, where in the tool itself, whichever tool you are using, where you are executing the test cases and where you are passing or failing, right? In the tool, once you fail, to report a defect and link it to that failed test case. Why we need to do? Again, it is for tracing. You need to trace out, right? While testing these test cases, what defects you identified, you need to trace out. That's why you need to link it. Then once you link, once you raise defect, what happens? Respective developer will fix it. Once the developer fix the defect and push the changes to testing environment, tester needs to what? Needs to retest the defect, retest those defects and close them if working fine, if they are working fine. Okay, if at all not working, again you will reopen and it will go to the developer. Again he will fix it. Again he will push the latest change of in the code to the testing environment. Again you will test and you will be closing it at least then if it is working. If not, it will be continuously reopened and it will be fixed by the developer. It's a repeated cycle. Any question till here? Okay, so till so this is how you will go with all the requirements testing. Once all the requirements newly developed requirement for that specific cycle are tested and all are passing working as expected and all the requirements are closed, otherwise and all are passed. What testing team need to do? Testing team needs to do a round of regression testing, very important thing, regression testing on all the existing features of the application to make sure there is no impact on the existing features, no impact due to this new feature implementation. This I have explained already when we were discussing as part of types of test case testings, when I was explaining retesting and regression testing. Is this clear? This point, you need to do a round of regression testing on all the existing features. Okay, along with these new features, you need to also test the existing features as well once you are done with your testing of those new features. Any questions till here? In this point is clear? Okay, so now finally testing team will end their testing activities and provide sign off, detailed sign off document. I mentioned what is there in the sign off document. So they provide the sign off document, provides detailed sign off document and informs release team to deploy the application, deploy the Okay, latest version of the deploy the same version of the application which is tested and certified by the QA team to which environment? UAT environment. Okay, so and ask the informs the testing team, informs the release team to deploy the same version of the application which is tested and certified by QA team to UAT environment. Okay, so that when based on this intimation, build and deployment team or release deployment or release management team will deploy the latest version of the application to UAT environment for the to get the new features tested and tested by the business people. Okay, once you deploy, and also what I said, a detailed test release notes must be delivered given to the client after successfully deploying the new version of the application to UAT. Okay, understand, release notes must be provided with all the details, what are the new features you released and what are the open bugs, all those things, what are the defects you corrected in this release, if at all any defects identified by business earlier, those defects are fixed, means that defects also you can mention, what are the bugs fixed in this release, all those things you can mention and send the release notes. Clear with this deployment, all of you? Now what happens? Business people will test it. Business people will test the newly released features and share the feedback to business analyst. Okay, I'm not writing full thing here. Feedback in the sense, what if it is working fine, he will provide the acceptance for the requirement. If all the requirements are satisfying their expectations, they provide the acceptance for those requirements. Okay, requirements, they will provide the acceptance. If at all anything is any requirement, if any of the requirements is not satisfying their expectations. They share the feedback, those share the issues identified, share the identified issues with the business analyst and reject the reject the respective requirements. Not all the requirements, whichever requirement is not working, only that requirement will be rejected. Understand? When they reject when they will get approval again, we need to fix all these issues and do another deployment to the client and informing that all the identified issues are fixed and our testing team has tested and they are working fine now. Please retest all those things, all those cases, and provide the acceptance for those the requirement. Okay. In this way, it will be doing support to the client in the maintenance phase. Like this, once you develop complete product in the 2 years or 3 years, and then after that, once complete final deployment also done to the client, it doesn't mean like normally most of the companies client will not break the contract immediately with the vendor. They keep 6 months or 1 year of maintenance phase. They don't keep all the 10 developers, all the 5 testers in the project. They remove everyone and keep some or 2 developers, 1 tester, kind of limited number of resources, and keep the maintenance for 1 year. Okay, so like 1 year or 6 months or 3 months, or depending on the client's agreement, you'll be having maintenance after completing the full development of the product as well. Understand? Okay, I hope it is clear. That's all for today. If you have any question on overall SDLC, please let me know. Otherwise, that's it for today, and we will be connecting next class on Monday at the same time. Okay, any questions, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all for today. We can close the session for today and meet on Monday again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Happy weekend, everyone.